All right guys, we're halfway through the Supercharger install, but I'm ADD and we're gonna install these brakes right here. If you don't see, there's a sneak peek. That is a big brake on a new Edge Mustang right there. And if you wanna see what we're looking at right here, this is what we have stock, which does not look good at all. And the wheels barely even spin. So we gotta do something about that. Let's go ahead and get this wheel off. This is not the proper tool for the job, but this is a tool for the job. And she pops right on out. So we're gonna be taking these brakes right here and turning them into something that looks like this. But let's go ahead and get it taken apart. Now we have the bolts for the caliper off, so we can take this whole brake, quite literally the whole brake. All right, we'll set that down there, very gentle like, and then the wheel bearing can come off as well. And by the looks of it, he was on our last leg. Yeah, definitely. So it's a good thing we're changing these things out. All right, that's 250 foot-pounds that those guys go to. And just like that, we have the brakes off of the car. If you see, the brakes we're taking off of this thing look a little bit different than the ones we're putting on. Let me take you over to the table and show you. All right guys, so this is the old brake caliper right here. This is the 2002 Mustang, I think GTN as well as V6 Mustang brakes, and they're just the regular brakes. It has the McLaren logo on them, so they must be McLaren. They don't handle anything like a McLaren at all, actually. But we are gonna put some Cadillac Brembos on there because these are 4-piston Brembos compared to 2 pistons from these guys. This one has a squeezing motion that squeezes this bracket against this right here with 2 pistons, and this one has 4 dedicated pistons, 2 per brake pad on these Brembos right here. So we'll have a lot more stopping force and a lot more clamping power on these. These are GT500 or Cobra 13-inch rotors are going to be what we use for rotors on the Cadillac Brembos. These are ATSVs, and you can find this all cheap on rockauto.com, as well as some other miscellaneous parts here and there I'll show you as we're all going together. But I just wanted to make the comparison of old versus new. With that being said, here is the new. We got to adjust this a little bit before we can get it on the car. What you need to proceed to do, if you want to have your Cadillac Brembos fit on your 1999 to 2004 Mustang, maybe even the years prior, but 2004 is at least the threshold as far as too far. What you have to do is get a bolt that threads in like this on your Cadillac ATSV Brembos that I will link in the description if you're actually curious, because this kit is really nice and it will make the car stop a lot better from what I've seen research-wise, and I'll let you guys know how it does here in a little bit. Okay, that's what it should be doing. There we go. And so what these are little adapter pieces. These adapt your stock spindles to fit these brakes right here, and they're a little bit offset. If you could see, the hole is not centered perfectly. The hole is a little bit offset, so that way they can fit on the new Edge Mustang. And you have to clock these properly in order to make it actually fit, because it is kind of a precise fitment. The way this is spinned changes the measurement in between the 2 mounting points. And we need to be able to fit the spindle, so we have to make sure this is proper. And just like that, now you have installed brackets for the Mustang brakes. Now these ATSV brakes should fit on the Mustang. But since we're adapting these brakes to a car that has never been designed to fit them before, this is a newer GT500 rotor, we have to use this plate on the back side of it to space it properly. Put the plate on like so. You can just slide it into place. All right, so now we can take our new brake and test it out and see if it fits. This is the moment of truth. Make sure that your bleeding nipples are always facing up. That's how you know that this is the passenger side. So we slide it in, and I would call that in there. 2 bolts inside. And now we are looking at Cadillac ATSV brakes on a 1999 to 2004 Mustang. But doesn't do much good if you don't have any pads, so let's get the pads in. So what we're doing is greasing up all of these pins right quick, so that way whenever we have the brakes on the car, they are going to stop for us, and they can actually slide back, and then the wheel can free turn, because that's a problem we were having on the other Mustang, is the wheels were not free turning. The brakes were so stiff because they've been in there for so long. Now that's in, and now we just got to do the same thing over here. Go to the back side of here. And now the brakes are in and greased. Wipe off the little excess, and brakes. The only thing left we have to do now is connect these stainless steel braided lines. There's 2 different size lines. So if you get to my position and realize that it's not fitting, check the other one because there's 2 different size lines. So the driver's side is going to have the bigger fitting. I don't know why, but we'll take it. At least I figured that out before I started getting more parts. I was like, there's no way. And just like that, we have big brakes installed on the Mustang, pads, everything installed, stainless lines installed, rotors installed, and Cadillac Brembo 4 pistons installed. So yet again, another Chevrolet piece on my Mustang. Even though we couldn't put enough on there. There's a freaking LSA supercharger in there. There's an LS inside the engine bay. There's a Chevy T56 transmission inside of there. This thing is pretty much as Chevy as you can get it when it comes to new edge Mustangs. Man, that's awesome. That is a really cool look right there. Dang, I approve. I definitely approve. That's sweet. I'm gonna take this whole bottom end and flip it so we can put some gaskets on there because it is time to do that. All right guys, so if you look right here, we've got the supercharger on. I torqued down all the bolts. There are just bolts right here and the torque pattern goes this one, 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 in that order. First pass to 50 inch-pounds and then second pass to 90 inch-pounds. So that leads us to the next thing that we have to install is the lid. But we can't install the lid because we have these fittings right here and we don't want to use those. I need to adapt it all to AN because I'm using AN lines. There she blows. That is what we wanted to do. It's taking this stock LSA piece that adapts these push lock fittings to 12 AN fittings, which is also a dedicated motorsports piece. Pretty clean stuff. This is a billet piece and it pretty much just adapts these. Instead of being these push locks, they are now anodized 12 AN, which is gonna work out for all of the AN stuff that we're installing. So to put this in, it's as simple as lubricate it well. The piece can go in. And that is installed. I'm gonna do a dab of Loctite on these guys as well, so that way they don't back out. And that, kids, is what you say ain't going nowhere. All right, so without further ado, that means we can go ahead and grab this gasket here because it's time for the lid to go on the car. So we'll grab the gasket and this square piece goes facing forward. So I'm just getting a gentle layer of film above this guy. So that way whenever I go to slide the lid on, it just pops right on in place, seals good, and then the oil covers everything else. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and take this lid and slap it on the car. And that is a lid on the car. Oh my gosh, with the AN fittings up front, it looks crazy. Oh my Lord.
It doesn't even run yet, and I'm just sitting here like drooling.
My mouth is wide open. I don't know what to think about it. It's so freaking huge, dude. Like, what a setup.
Totally not bald or anything.
All right, next up, we're gonna grab this throttle body and its gaskets. And now this throttle body is good to go on.
Damn, please, dude. That looks so good.
Dang, Roshan literally just posted my... I said making Ford's great and posted a picture of my car. The owner of Boost District, by the way. So that's pretty cool. That's the Boost District posted this picture that you see here as we're looking at it live, which is really cool.
That's wild. I see.
I dig that. All right.
We went from talking about one day having Boost District, you were like, I found the kit that I can order this once I get the money for it, to like literally they are posting your car on their page.
Yeah, stuff works out very insane. So this is a Motion Raceworks throttle cable bracket. If you have a car, well, if you have, I'm gonna say, all right, if you have a car, buy it.
Buy that bracket.
You need that. You need that.
You got twin turbos, hit that.
Yeah, no,
Now
you got.
Nissan Altima, buy that bracket.
Exactly, this bracket's what you need. All right, essentially, if you want to run an LSA and wanted to run a throttle cable bracket, these didn't come with an actual throttle cable. They're pretty much just drive-by-wire, so now you have to get this bracket right here, and the only people who make a decent one is Motion Raceworks, and damn, it's nice. It's a billet piece, and I'm gonna tighten that down. Throttle cable goes there, and they also gave you a plug for right here, and this plug goes down like so. Let me get some oil on it.
You got brakes on the car, bearings on the car.
Like, it's not just the engine.
I bet you knew how to do them bearings great, no?
Oh, dude, that was, dude,
been through it
I felt like the
there.
transmission guy. Dead ass. I felt like him. I was like, whoop, 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 whoop.
Cotter pin.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Check it. Let's go. One more done. All right, so if you guys don't do this already, what if you are doing stuff for a car and you need help organizing and you're ADHD like me, this helps you because you can't forget anything. And you got check boxes and you can literally make sure you didn't forget it because you got to check it off as you go. Between very smart.
And drawing the diagrams of your belts.
Correct.
You don't look dumb doing that.
And pardon my handwriting, but if you need to do this LSA swap, do this. This is what you need to do if you need to put an LSA on a car. All these.
You don't forget what you've already done too, which is nice.
Yeah, that is true.
That's so good.
And then whenever you're done with the project, it's just all filled out and it's like, I feel like I finished. And then you got a car that's supercharged. So it's like two solid things. All right, whenever you're out about, you just put it where it's supposed to go and it does exactly that. So this goes here, yep. And that would be about right. Okay. It's always nice testing out a belt system for the first time, getting to learn all about it. I want to show you guys a few things since we swapped over from the GoPro back to the iPhone footage. So let me show you guys what this thing is. First off, it's beautiful. And second off, so the Boost District 8-rib FEAD kit up front with a 8-rib setup. Then behind that is a 6-rib setup that has your alternator and power steering pump, which are all billet brackets. It's freaking beautiful. Billet pulleys, the power steering pump is even polished. So they really did a good job on everything. FI-Tech 102mm throttle body with a Motion Raceworks throttle cable bracket, and then also a dedicated Motorsports 12AN adapter for the water system, which is what we're gonna start working on next. And this is what the stock piece looked like. We'll go ahead and pull the cover off that. These were push to connect fittings, and these are AN. And AN just looks a lot better, and if you can see, flows a lot more fluid. So we should have a lot more fluid flow, and it should keep it a little bit cooler there too, because this hole is smaller than that hole. So we took this piece out, put that in, and now we have to adjust on the other side because now we're not using push lock footings. And that is whenever Evil Energy pops in because they helped us out and got us a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of parts, a whole bunch of fittings, and a whole bunch of stuff. And Evil Energy provides a lot of AN lines, fittings, hoses, anything that you would need to plumb your car. And this is one of their 12 AN kits that comes with 12 AN line and a lot of fittings of stuff that you would want to adapt the Supercharger to 12 AN. And these are just big AN fittings, and a whole bunch of assorted stuff is here as well. And here's the 290s that we're going to be using on the Supercharger. We're gonna take these lines and we're going to screw them in just like so. And both of those 90s will be right here. And we're gonna run those lines down here to the coolant tank, which is provided by Boost District whenever you get their Supercharger kit. And then that coolant tank will go down to the water pump, and that water pump will go to the heat exchanger. And let's show you how to do it. I'm gonna go strap on the GoPro. All right, guys, so we've got a whole bunch of Evil Energy parts, and these are the first ones we're gonna break into. This is the 12 AN line that they've got here, and this is gonna be the water line we're using for our system. For this heat exchanger right here, which basically takes water and circulates it through here, this cools it down via this pump. This is how the water moves in and out, and this cools it down from air that moves down the road. We mount that to the front of the car. That water will go down there into this. It will cool the boosted air that we got coming through the Supercharger that's coming up through there and going around to the intake. That will cool that with the intercooler brick that's inside of there, and then circle back around and make a whole return system. So we need to put a water system on this thing. I'm thinking we'll probably take it to the left because there's a lot of real estate right there for empty stuff, and then run the heat exchanger lines down there. Take out the light bar that we've got, which is kind of sad because I love that thing. But in order to make an intercooler work, you kind of need airflow there, and this is a big hole and we need airflow there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on this work. Those are gonna look like that, and they'll run under the throttle cable. That won't be an issue at all. I'm liking the way that's looking. And I also need to get a longer throttle cable as well. I connected that, which is really simple. You just attach this Motion Raceworks bracket, which is 2 bolts there and there. Attach these 2 bolts with the throttle cable, run your throttle cable through. They give you a vacuum tap that's right here, but I didn't really like the placement of it because the throttle cable was right in the way. They machined it such in a way that you can use it on this side. So I'm gonna use my vacuum tap there, and if I ever wanna tap into more vacuum, I have a port right here that I can use at any time. Boost District also supplied some caps for these as well, so I just used the black cap on this side. They also gave me a black cap for this side, but since Motion Raceworks gave me a cap. For this one, I'm using this one on this side. It's just kind of using a few different parts that we've got, and this is the best setup that I came up with because it'd be the cleanest vacuum tap if I were to use this somewhere else. So from here, we need to figure out where we need to put, first off, this pump, and second off, this guy. And I think we're gonna be putting it in this area of the sort. So I might have to make a bracket really quick, and that's no big problem at all. Just gotta do it. Because I could run it straight down like this. And that would run right here, and the line could run down. Actually, that kind of works out flawlessly. But then we need to take this pump, wire this down, probably put it in this area, and then run it down to the lines down there. So I do know what we're gonna have to do for sure is take off this bumper. So I'm gonna take that off real quick. And we'll put this bumper over here by the McLaren. I've got to take the light bar off and put a heat exchanger on this thing. So it kind of sucks that we're getting rid of this aux beam light bar, but maybe we'll repurpose that for something else. But time for the heat exchanger to go there because airflow doesn't matter for a light bar, but it does matter for this. So we do have to do something about that.
Just like that.
Unlight barred. Dude, this car is just getting so many parts taken off of it now. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, look at the difference.
Yeah, for real. I like the new stuff that's going on better than the old stuff. The first item of business would be to check and see, that ain't right. You know? Maybe I can make a bracket that makes it right.
Still on the crash bar.
Yeah, this crash bar's bent. Maybe I'll try and bend this back real quick. Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, bent crash bars are always fun to fix.
Why did that go so well?
Because I've done this before. That bitch is so straight right now. Oh my gosh, we just did body work, brother. Hell yeah. Very solid. So now it's straighter than it was before. Yeah, the car's been wrapped around right here on the crash supports and towed. This car got towed to Gavin's shop whenever I first got the LS running and broke my wheel on the curb. That's whenever that happened. Y'all don't roast me too bad, but we're using flat stock. I hate to say it, but it's what we're doing. It's strong, it's good. It's what we're gonna do right now. It's what I got right now. I'll fix it later and make it better later. I want to put a tubular front end on this thing. But until then, this will work. I think I might just go straight down and then get another piece from here to there. Down and in. See, that would need to be down pretty low. I'll just make two of those. All right. Now I take these outside and cut. All right, so I just got done drilling out these holes to the exact size they need to be, which happens to be exactly perfect for these bolts with zero play at all. Haha, there we go. First time's a charm, measure once, cut once. That's how it's supposed to be done. And we can run that guy in and run that one in as well. And that is in place. That thing can be mounted, those bolts can be screwed in, and this is in place. This little side bracket piece is kind of adjusting it and holding it up there and bracing it. But on the other side, we're not quite as lucky because this isn't mirrored, this is a direct same image. So if we do that, it would mount like that, but then we would have two mounts on this side. So we're gonna wanna flip that. So now we have two mounts on the insides of the brackets. So one is on here on the inside and one is here on the inside. But if I do flip them, in theory, the brackets should be the same size. So if I get that in, I should be able to get this in, which means I can have two mounts. And since I cut two pieces, that would be no issue at all. Center mark. There we go right there. Those are our 2 center marks. I'm gonna go ahead and drill these puppers out. I think that might be good. New mounts on the car. Those are strong AF, I'll tell you that. So I'm looking at how to mount this intercooler, and I'm assuming this is a drain plug. So this has got to go towards the bottom, and these are going towards that side. So looks like the mounts are gonna be on the bottom side, and I gotta make sure that it clears everything. So it'll be about right here. And it looks like that bar may be a little close back there, so I might give that a little bit of persuasion, just a teeny bit. Yeah, and then this, just a little. There we go, a little bit of intercooler clearance. If I do say so myself, it looks pretty perfect. I've put the heat exchanger in place using the transmission jack and used it to level itself, so now it's level on the car and it should be everything good to go. So what I'm gonna do here is make a mount that goes from here to there. Simple as that. And make our line. All right, battery swap. I've got both these pieces marked, and this was another piece that I marked. These are going to be my pieces that I use and weld onto these. So that way I have a very solid mount for this intercooler. So now I need to get to cutting. Don't forget to put on your safety glasses. One to go there, and one to go here. And then we'll have a spot for the intercooler to mount, and we'll drill and probably tap these holes. All right, so next step of the business is we're gonna take this piece of metal right here, line it up, and then move it out a little bit and in a little bit. So I have a little bit of a lip to weld to, and that also looks good there. Lock that into place, and then we can pull this whole bracket off and weld this. So that means pull out to the welder. Perfect. That's the first one. Now it's time to do the second one. I'm gonna do the same exact thing. Got to lay some dimes in there. Not the best, but not the worst. It's gonna be a solid weld, solid mount, and she'll hold our intercooler in there for sure. All right, so that means we have got holes that we can now drill in these spots right here. I marked them with a Sharpie inside of here, pretty straightforward. Let me lower this down, I'll move this out of the way, and we can get to drilling. All right, so I just tapped these holes right here. So now I can put this back in place, and this should be the final time that I have to put it in before I can finally mount the heat exchanger in, because these are now threaded and the bolts can go straight through. Dang, the intercooler looks really sick on the car. Really makes it shine. Damn straight. All right guys, so the supercharger install has been doing good. Got the heat exchanger on the car mounted and ready to go. I might switch these mounts to the inside and put this on the other side of the bracket, because I also have something else that Evil Energy sent over. It is a oil cooler. So it's kind of a needed thing if you want to have high horsepower and you're going to be making your oil hot. You want something to cool it down so it's not so hot. So thank you to Evil Energy for sending that out, as well as all of the other fittings and stuff that they did send out, because they sent out a whole 8AN kit for everything, as well as a 10AN kit. These are just the accessories, but these are the line kits that they sent as well. So if you order an 8AN kit, I got the 20-foot version with PTFE. So this is good with E85 because it has the PTFE line right there. So this right here is the PTFE locking collar right here. And these collars is how you know that these are some good fittings, because if they don't have these, your fittings are bound to leak at some point. And ask me how I know, because I've had fittings that leaked because I didn't have collars like these. Comes with all of everything you need, plus instructions on how to even make the line. So this is going to be what we're going to be making our fuel system out of, 8AN fuel lines, and then our coolant system is all going to be 12AN, which is essentially the same kit, just bigger size. We're going to be making our coolant lines with this 12AN stuff right here, and then we're going to be making our fuel lines with the 8AN stuff, which is this, which should look pretty daggum beautiful, if you don't say so myself. I'm gonna go ahead and hold off on putting the oil cooler on the car, because the fittings that I have with it aren't the right size fittings for my specific oil pan. My oil pan's aftermarket, so you wouldn't deal with it normally, but since I have an aftermarket oil pan, my oil filter is a little bit different, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. I just need to adapt that sandwich plate or get a proper sandwich plate for an LS engine, because that one is not for an LS, so the oil cooler is not gonna go on right now, but that means we can go ahead and get finished with this coolant system. So first up is gonna be this here tank. We gotta figure out a place to put this. I'm seeing this little hole right here. and that hole fits kind of perfect. All right, I think I've decided. Piece of skirt. Sweet. Now we got a lot of room to put that. That's actually crazy. I thought I made a video, but apparently I didn't. But I mounted this thing. I hole sawed right there, and then I made a bracket for it right here, and now she's in place, not moving. Unfortunate that I didn't get it on video. I'm sorry, guys. What you would say, ankle, nor there, bud. Nor there, bud. A mounted coolant tank. So now the car has hard mounted heat exchanger, hard mounted coolant tank, and my favorite part of the day, make a check. Make/run -12AN lines plus water pump. So go water pump next. And by water pump, I don't mean the vehicle's water pump, I mean this. This is an electric booster pump. This was supplied by Boost District whenever you get the LSA kit. And this right here, hear me out. All right, so you see where we're at here? Damn, that's almost perfect placement. I don't know if I could do better anywhere else. All right, I guess we'll figure that out here soon. All right, now that's a way straighter edge. So we should be able to kind of start off on a better foot. All right guys, so I went ahead and made the first AN line, and it's pretty simple. The first spot we're going to be tapping into is gonna be right here. This is the first coolant spot, and the first line will go in place like so. Ooh, this is exciting. We're actually putting AN lines on this thing, and they're looking good too. Sweet. And then right where my thumb is where my cut line is. All right, so now I'm gonna use a little bit of water and wash this out. Get a little bit of motor oil in there. And then these are supplied by Evil Energy. They're just some hose clamps. Nothing more, nothing less. Just a hose clamp. All right, there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, the first supercharger line is connected. There's one, and then two to the intercooler. Let's get her done. All right, so now we have our next AN fitting, and we'll go ahead and put this thing together while we're here. So we'll grab this end, because this end looks a lot nicer. Put some oil on there, and we made the two. All right, now it's time to put the top line on, and this one is going to be going to the heat exchanger, which is mounted down below by the radiator. So we're gonna have to cut this to length, get a proper size, and then go from there. And then this goes down here. All right, so I don't know if the camera's gonna be able to see it, so I'm gonna pull it off real quick. There's a little lip right here. You see that lip? I'm gonna go ahead and pinch that down, because if I do pinch that, then that won't cut into this line ever. So I'll pinch that down, make it a soft edge. And then that needs to connect to right here. I need to check and see if it's the top or bottom. Yeah, that's a lot smoother. That's not gonna cut nothing. There we go, I like that a lot better. And that line goes right there. All right, so we've got this right here. This is the line for the cold side. This is gonna be going to the top of the supercharger. So we're gonna run this through and around and in. So what I did whenever y'all weren't looking is I took it to the sink and washed these lines out with some water. So that way they're nice and cleared up. Now let's grab our spacers from Evil Energy and let's start installing these guys so we can get these lines in place for their final location. That looks fucking fabulous. Holy. Alrighty. So that goes down and in. And this goes out and around. This is gonna fit perfect. Holy cow. Ladies and gentlemen, and just like that, we are done with the water lines. Goodness gracious. Yeah, so I had to have a little extra right here so it fit. Yeah, I'll take this whole piece and rotate it.